New players and seasoned vets, I'm going to take you on a loot route from the warm shores of Cherno to the hostile northwest airfield. Let's go from Bambi to Baller as fast as possible. Starting from East Cherno, the first major things that you're going to see are the lighthouse and Skyrim Mountain. At the base of the mountain you'll find a railway track. Follow this west with the sea on your left hand side and run along the tracks towards the train. Look out for rocks on the tracks. 2 rocks can be used to create a stone knife, important for at least 2 things. If you find an animal, you'll need a knife to cut it up, and you can also use it to get bark from trees for a fire. Loot the train and any players who've committed Sudoku from the bridge above you. From there, the first thing that you're going to need to find is food and water. Head along Route 1, past the checkpoint to the buildings on the right of the road. Loot them and drink from the well. You'll want to drink as much as you possibly can until you see the stomach full icon in the lower right. From the pump, make a beeline for the industrial area on the opposite side of Route 1. You'll find zombies for loot, including knives, food, rope, etc. There are also a significant amount of containers. Loot as many as you can. You'll find bags, warm clothing and fishing rods, and even the odd bit of military loot in the camo containers. If you've managed to find a fishing rod and a hook, why not go over to the sea and try and catch yourself a mackerel? They're a great source of food. From the containers, head up to the small military encampment. It's the lowest tier of military loot, but there are a couple of tents, a fortified nest and a couple of sandbag huts next to the helipad. They all spawn items, so grab whatever's left. You never know what gun you might come across or what you could trade with other players on your travels. Once you've finished at the military outpost, take a trip across the fields towards Debovo. Take out any zombies on the way and have a look through the garages. A useful tip here is to keep an eye out for really geared players. Whilst the apartments don't spawn loot, they're often used by geared players as a base. You might get lucky and catch someone leaving or entering. Run to the right of the last apartment block and head towards the hill on the right of the valley in front of you, where you'll find your first summer camp. Once you're at the summer camp, loot everything that you can. You've a chance for scopes, ammo, decent backpacks, warm clothing. There's all kinds of things up here. There's also a hospital for medical supplies. The summer camp, just like most of the summer camps on Cherno, has a water pump in it, so just as you did earlier, get as much water on as you can and make sure you see the stomach full sign in the bottom right. One other thing to bear in mind when you're at the summer camps is that you've always got to be on your guard for bear traps. Once you've looted the summer camp, take the exit north and follow the dirt road. About 400 metres in front of you in the trees there's a feed shack. Have a look in there and loot anything that you need. You'll often find scopes, compasses, knives, maybe even the odd gun. From there, take the dirt road east and then turn left towards Mogilevka. Loot the buildings in town, paying particular attention to the store in the middle of town where you can find guns and scopes. Elsewhere there's a chance of guns, food and general loot. Be careful when drinking from the pump though, that there isn't a sniper sat on the hill waiting for you. From Mogilevka, take the road northwest to Zub Castle on the hill. At the base you'll find a map and 2 benches where you can find some useful supplies. From there, carry on up the path. You'll come to a couple of buildings on the right hand side. Loot them for any useful things that you can find. Carry on up towards the castle. If you see rocks on the path in front of you, be wary, as other players could be close by. When you get to Zub, loot the main room at the entrance, then move up the tower to the roof. Here you've a chance to find a Mosin, Blaze or Tundra, or even the ammo and scopes to go with them. You'll also get a nice view of the next town on our route, Vishnoi. Vishnoi is another town useful for general loot. There's also a few animal spawns around to top up on food if you need them. The one main benefit of coming through to Vishnoi is this town offers you the first potential of a heli crash site for top tier loot. It normally spawns in the northwest field here. You'll also find a water pump in Vishnoi, so top up on water if you need it here. From Vishnoi, we now head northeast towards our second summer camp, just south of Novi. Don't forget to check the deer stand on the edge of the trees to the north. The run will take you about 5 minutes with the majority of the summer camp hidden from view. You'll be able to make it out by the abandoned bus on the road next to the gate. Move down into the camp where, just as with the first summer camp, you'll find camp buildings, spawning ammo, clothing and scopes, a pump, a hospital, but you'll also find a pub on the southern edge that spawns guns, ammo and clothing. Don't forget the secret room at the back. By now you should have some semblance of gear to head to our first heavy PvP spot, Stary. From the summer camp, Head west up the hill through the trees till you find a dirt road. There's little in the way of loot along the path, but have a quick look in the deer stand to your right. Keep going and the trees will begin to thin out, but there's a useful set of bushes and trees on the edge of the path to the right that gives you an excellent view of Stary, its iconic big red barn and military tents. Beware along this road though, and in the trees directly in front of you. Whilst there's not much here, it's a well-worn path and a favourite of Cherno's many snipers. Unless you're here for a fight, Stary isn't the best place to loiter. There are a number of places to check before you begin your loot run. You'll often find players sniping from the electrical box and the trees to its west that's 900 metres from the edge of the dirt road. You'll find players moving into the tents from tree tents, players coming across from Novi via the 2 deer stands to the north, and players coming across from VMC, another high loot area to the west. There are many places to loot in Stary, depending on your need, but of significance is the medical building on the west edge and the military tents on the opposite side of town. The military area holds a significant chance of good loot. With numerous tents, containers, lookout towers and zombies to loot, you should find something of use, but do it fast. If you're in a squad, having someone on Overwatch to keep an eye on your back is a good idea. Be nice and share the loot though. Once you've hit Stary, the next stop for some military gear is VMC. Take a trip over the fields in the best cover possible. There are a couple of tree lines and copses, and if you're feeling really brave, a deer stand looking out towards Stary. There are 4 major routes into VMC, and you're on one of them. The other 3 major routes are Shed Line, Pond Line coming in from Vibor into Bradley Trees, and people coming off the top of the hill. From your position you've a decent vision over all of them. Once you're happy, move in and grab what you can as fast as you can. This is your first chance to grab gear from a barracks. There's also containers and a camo building and plenty of zombies to loot too. You should be pretty well geared now, so make a move from VMC along Shed Line towards Vibor. Keep going over the junction towards the northwest airfield, up the streamline towards the red top barn and enter the airfield. From here the world's your oyster. The northwest airfield is one of the most densely packed military areas in Cherno. I've got a full overview of the northwest airfield coming soon, so there'll be tips in there for new and veteran players, so it's worth subscribing. I'm confident you'll learn something. I stream Dayz live on Twitch. If you've got any questions, come and ask me there. Link in the description, or put them in the comments and I'll respond ASAP.